Welcome to Two Millennials and Mom, where we bring you engaging conversations and respectful disagreement across the social spectrum.
Injected with the quirks of everyday life.
Curl up as we navigate the complexities of this modern world with all the humor and warmth we can muster.
And the occasional gentle ribbing. We're glad you're here. Happy listening.
We've spoken recently about personal accountability. But what about being accountable for someone else? We're witnessing new trends in parental accountability, particularly around acts of violence. A Newport News, Virginia mom has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for felony child neglect on top of another 2 years for federal firearms charges after her 6-year-old shot his first-grade teacher in class. A Georgia father has been convicted on 27 criminal charges, including second-degree murder, in relation to his son's actions that took the lives of 4 people and injured 7 others. And now an Arkansas man has won the Republican primary for county sheriff while awaiting trial for murder after killing his daughter's alleged sexual abuser. One parent is punished for not preventing the violence, one is about to be punished for facilitating it, and the other is now a borderline local celebrity for committing violence in the alleged defense of himself and his daughter. So our question is, where does parental responsibility really begin and end?
When you hear these stories, your instinct is probably pretty immediate. How does a 6-year-old even get a gun? Of course that Georgia dad should be in prison. Honestly, if somebody hurt my kid, I'd probably do the same thing as that Arkansas dad. But here's what's interesting. All 3 of these stories involve violence connected to a parent and their child, and we react completely differently to each one. When violence happens because of a parent, we want accountability. When violence happens to protect a child, we often feel like it's justified. So part of what we want to explore today is, why do we emotionally treat these situations differently?
Here's where this conversation hits a little differently for me than it might for Callie and Cole, because I'm the only parent at the table. Every parent wants to believe 2 things. 1, that you're raising your kids right, and 2, that you could protect them if something terrible happened. But these stories challenge both of those beliefs. A parent whose child gets access to something dangerous, a parent whose kid commits violence, a parent who takes justice into their own hands to defend their child. Because the truth is, once kids get old enough to make their own choices, parents don't control everything anymore. But the question society seems to be asking more and more is, should parents still be held responsible? So today, we're going to dig into these stories and ask some uncomfortable questions about parenting, responsibility, revenge, and the law. Welcome to Two Millennials and Mom.
I'm Callie.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Mom.
So I think we should take a second and kind of set the stage. We've mentioned these couple of stories that have happened, in 2023, 2024, and 2025. So the last couple of years, these are just a few headlines that we have pulled, and I want us to take a second to break down and dig a little bit deeper into those headlines. Cole, do you want to tell us about the 6-year-old shooter?
Yeah, so Newport News, Virginia, a 6-year-old student shot his first-grade teacher. She survived but suffered severe injuries. She was shot through the hand and in the chest. The child's mother was later convicted of felony child neglect for leaving the gun in an accessible place and has been sentenced 21 months in prison overall for neglect and lying on a federal firearms application, I believe, was the other charge. This became the first case in U.S. history where a parent was criminally convicted after a 6-year-old school shooter.
The Georgia school shooting, the father of the accused school shooter was convicted just recently on 27 charges connected to the Appalachia High School shooting. They included 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 18 counts of cruelty to children, 5 counts of reckless conduct, and the father was convicted before the shooter himself even goes to trial, which shocked a lot of people.
And then you've got the case in Arkansas. This is Aaron Spencer, who allegedly killed the 67-year-old man who was accused of sexually abusing his 13-year-old daughter at the time. The accused abuser reportedly faced 43 felony counts related to the abuse of this guy's daughter alone. Instead of condemnation, Spencer received overwhelming local support. national media attention and recently ran for sheriff in his local county on the guise of transparency for local law enforcement and came out victorious in the Republican primary
In a
by like what,
landslide.
54% of the vote out of 3 different candidates?
Yeah.
Yeah. After beating a 13-year incumbent.
Yes. So you've got 3 different parents here. You've got 3 very violent outcomes that are all connected to their children. One parent goes to prison for neglect. Another is charged and convicted of second-degree murder and more. And another one is hailed a hero and runs for sheriff while he's still got charges pending. Why do these all feel so different?
I mean, the Arkansas is protection, and that makes it a little bit different in my eyes, where the other 2 are school shooters.
So do you think that that opens up and sets the precedent for vigilante justice to be acceptable?
No.
How does it not?
You're not going to like this. I have a weird opinion on vigilante justice. Sometimes I think it's called for.
When?
Well, and I think we call it vigilante, but was it really vigilante? I mean,
Why wouldn't it have
it's hard
been?
to say at this point. Well, maybe it really was
So if someone breaks
self-defense
in
or
here and decides that they want to try and attack you or mom and I kill them, is that vigilante justice or is that defense?
No.
that's defense.
But I think that one of the things that we did not mention but needs to be mentioned, this is not happening in his home. Aaron Spencer woke up and saw that his daughter wasn't home. He knew that this 67-year-old sex offender who had been abusing his daughter had recently been released from prison and was out on bond. And so he went looking for them and found them, her in his truck driving down the road. He then proceeded to ram the guy's truck off of the road and then shot the sex offender, I believe, 15 times. Now, I am not sitting here saying that there was not a quarrel between the 2, that he wasn't acting in self-defense. Aaron Spencer and his attorneys have all maintained that he shot him, that he was doing this in response to what the guy was doing with his daughter, to his daughter. The guy had multiple restraining orders to stay away from this girl, to stay away from their family, and all of those had been broken. So my question becomes,
See,
where
that's a
does
totally
vigilante
different story than the
justice...
one I got. There
Uh,
was a court order to stay away from children in general, but there
yes.
wasn't anything explicitly about this girl or their family.
Oh,
Interesting.
no,
was
mine
just-
said it was a restraining order specific to her.
Yes, I did too. But still, neither here nor there, staying away from children in general would still necessitate staying away from her,
Yes.
Yeah.
who's 13
Well,
years
and
old.
I did read one account that the statement following this was that the 67-year-old had come out brandishing something in his hand at the father.
See, I didn't get that part, but one of the ones that
didn't
I
get that
was
either.
listening to, that I was watching yesterday, is apparently the 67-year-old had a dash cam and that footage has gone missing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay, the purpose of this conversation today is not by any stretch to get into the weeds and the minutia of this case. This is very much still happening in real time. Aaron Spencer has been charged with all of these different felony counts and murder and all of this. There's a whole bunch going on with the Arkansas State Supreme Court that with the judge and who let this guy out on bond and why he was out and should he have been out. And it's a fishy story at best. You can see all 3 of us have actively gone in and do research and read about all of these and better understand them. And we all have received different stories and different details. This is still very much current, ongoing right now, as of this recording.
Yeah, I think the
there's a
first
bunch
time
of
this
weird
came to
shit
my
going on with the judge and
yeah,
All
the first
kinds of
judge
stuff.
on the case, all kinds of weird stuff. And now he is the Republican nominee for sheriff in the county. It's strange. Regardless,
Yes.
if we talk about that specific portion of the scenario. Callie, let's say a man had come and abducted you right now at your current age. A man came and abducted you, and Dad and I chased him down and killed him in the process of trying to recover you so that he could not do harm to you.
I think that there is a case to be made for that being reasonable.
So part of this is, was it vigilante justice or was it defense? And I get that.
Could it be both?
I mean, I would be very hard pressed to separate my emotions if my daughter had been abused by a guy who was under a restraining order and wasn't supposed to be around her and was 67 with a
Yeah.
13-year-old child.
Gross.
I mean, my emotions are going to be involved there.
They can't not be. Not without you being some kind of Looney Tune. Like, they can't not be.
So, that's going to be for the court to decide. Was it vigilante or was it not? Obviously, people have responded to him and his, running for sheriff in a positive manner, in that they felt like he had justification here.
I get the feeling they're going to have a real hard time getting a jury to convict him in that county.
Oh, yeah.
I think so too. And I also think it's very interesting that the incumbent who arrested him and the way that that Spencer ran his campaign was for transparency and accountability. And I don't know that the incumbent sheriff really did anything wrong. His job is to arrest. His job is not conviction.
Sure. I think we're getting about this little bitty tiny sliver of the reality that's going on in Lone Oak County, Arkansas right now.
Okay. So let's kind of step back a little bit. We're talking about the parents being responsible, and generally that has not historically happened, but it started to change over another school shooting where both the mother and father were convicted of involuntary manslaughter that their child had committed during a school shooting. And that was new and different, and obviously the basis for cases coming forward.
Do we have any details? They were charged with manslaughter.
Involuntary manslaughter for failing to secure the handgun that was used in the shooting. Now, this one is super strange. If you guys remember, so this school shooting took place in 2021, November of 2021 in Oxford High School in Michigan. And the parents were charged and failed to appear for their arraignment. They were a subject of a huge nationwide manhunt trying to find them by the U.S. Marshals. They were caught and arrested in Detroit. They were trying to get out of the country, all kinds of weird stuff. They were jointly sentenced on April 9th, 2024 to the maximum allowed, 15 years in prison with the possibility of parole after 10 years. There were lawsuits filed against the school district, Oxford Community Schools, alleging negligence by school officials towards warning signs exhibited by this kid leading up to the shooting. And it was a whole big thing, but they were convicted separately. The parents were convicted separately of 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter.
I mean, if you look at the one at the Gray shooting, there is so much history there.
You're talking about the one in Georgia?
Yes. There's so much history there. The mother has already been convicted of drug charges. There's an account that says he never even went to school his 8th grade year. His other family members had reached out and tried to get some help because they thought he was either homicidal or suicidal. He was in so many different school districts over a period of time with issues going on, different people coming to talk to him, different times that somebody had reported issues with him, and nothing ever happened.
That's not really true. Because again, we talked about this leading up to this. I don't know if you guys remember, but I very vividly remember the FBI footage that was released when they got calls on this kid and went to go do an investigation, and they're standing outside on this kid's front porch with him and his dad talking about, hey, what's going on? Hey, do you know we got these tips, we got these anonymous tips about your Discord and things that you're saying. And from everything that I remember, he just kind of sat there and played dumb. I don't know. And so no charges were ever filed. I don't even think it was like he didn't get a warning or anything. They were just like, okay.
I mean, what do you do to a 14-year-old?
Well, let's go back. If I'm standing on the front porch with the FBI with my kid and they're asking questions like they were asking to this kid, I'm not going to go buy him an AR-15 like gun to
I'm not
get
going to
him
buy him a
away
gun at
from
all,
video
any
games.
kind of gun, period.
No. No.
And I'm definitely going to make sure that they're secured, which is why this father has been charged with second-degree murder.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, this one to me is pretty cut and dried. This, and here's where I think it gets sticky. This was a completely dysfunctional family. And everything that you read, this family was totally dysfunctional. This was not parents who were just busy at work. There were lots and lots and lots of signs here. And instead of protecting their child, they kind of opened the door and said, walk on through.
So maybe this is a little bit of a tangent, but it kind of seems to me like these people were incapable of protecting their children, of being responsible for their children.
Boy, there's a big question.
So whose responsibility does that child become?
That's the problem. It's still theirs.
But I think that's a really good point, Cole. Maybe they weren't capable.
To give you an analogy, if I get in my car while I'm hammered and drive home and kill someone, I wasn't capable of driving my car home, but I'm still responsible for it.
Yeah, for the action. And we need to point out, he was not the sole child. There were multiple siblings here. I don't, this one,
That facet to me is kind of irrelevant in this instance. My heart breaks for the other children. I mean, that sucks. That's awful.
well, what kind of condition are they in?
And who's going to take care of them now?
The grandma who's been trying to warn everybody that this is going on and this is about to be an issue, or the aunt who's done the same thing and stepped up. Like I just sit here and go, oh my God, can you imagine this taking place around you, whether she's in Washington State or the next county over in Georgia? Oh my gosh, my nephew just went and shot up this school. I have been trying to warn them. I don't know what else I could have done. How do you make peace with that and continue to live your life and take care of your kids and your family? And how do you continue to have faith in the system? How do you not hate your brother or sister, whoever it is, that was completely negligent and allowed this to happen?
Yeah.
I hate that for her.
This is a tough one.
I mean, I am not an I told you so girl, but I'm not sure I would be able to, even in my own little heart, bite my tongue enough to be like, I told you so.
Don't you know the defense is going to use her?
And I hope that they do.
Prosecution.
That leads me. Yes, sorry, the prosecution.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
That leads me to my next question. We talked about this in last week's episode about the illegal mayor in Kansas. What would you like the outcome to be? This is purely hypothetical. We are not judges. We are not juries. We are not sitting on these panels. We have no influence in how this case is playing out. What would you like to see happen in this case? This case of this 14-year-old kid who went and shot up his school, killed people, injured others, had all of these problems, have these real shit parents who are completely
in hindsight,
useless.
I would have hoped somebody could have helped this kid. Somebody could have heard him.
But
That's
now,
what you want.
it's already happened. There's no you have hindsight to use for your better judgment for what you would like to see happen now. What
I
now?
mean, there's
What
nothing
happens to
else
him?
to do now.
He's not eligible for the death penalty because of his age, if I remember correctly. So do you just hope that he sits in jail and rots?
What else do you do with him?
That's what I'm asking. I don't know. What about his parents? I mean, we
Rot.
talked about, yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with you. You were so ineffective in bringing up a child and providing them with really incredibly dangerous tools that cost then other people their lives because of your own failures as a human. What do you have to offer society at this point?
Nothing.
Mom,
You
what would
you
you say?
lost that chance.
Forever. I am not trying to get into this as a tangent, but just as a tiny bit of perspective here. I am anti the death penalty. I would much rather see them rot. I am happy to pay for that, rot in prison for the end of their lives. Mom, what would you say if one of them was compelled to go reach out to the Other Side Academy and say, shoot, I really fucked up my life. I want to change. Do you give them a chance?
Tough. Because they didn't just screw up their own life.
So is that the line? The moment that it extends beyond your life and or your immediate family and other people are involved, now you're out of luck?
You know, here's what comes to my mind. And one is there has to be something in that person's makeup that can recognize and say, I
Admitting you have
screwed
a
this up.
problem is the
Yeah.
first step to recovery.
And having any capability of fixing that, doing something about it. And if you can't admit the problem and you can't face the problem, then there isn't another piece of help for you. Now, does my heart bleed for I think he's 16 years old now, that he will spend his entire life in prison? And yes, that protects the public, but what does it do for him?
I don't give a shit about him.
Oh, I do. I
I'm
do.
kind of torn on this one because I think this is a direct result of his environment, which
Yes.
he, as a 14-year-old kid, unfortunately didn't have much say in, it seems like. Regardless, I don't think that that's something that can be repaired. So
And you may be right about that. And
this is
that's the really sad part.
this is just the pragmatic part of me. Tough. But Callie, you and I talked about this last night while we were prepping for this episode. And Mom, you mentioned the Other Side Academy. Stealing, lying, assault, getting into a gang fight and killing another person. I think those are things that to me, there can be redemption for. I don't think there's redemption for causing harm to children. Sorry. Your life is worthless
So
to
are
me at
you
this
saying
point.
that from the father's perspective or from the shooter's perspective? He caused harm to the children too.
Primarily the parents in this instance,
Yeah.
and the kid that sucks. I have sympathy for the kid, but I also don't know how you recover from something like that.
So I'm
Yeah.
curious though. So if you get into a gang fight as an adult, whatever it is, you get into a situation where you kill another human being intentionally, you can forgive that because why?
It's a really good question, Gig.
I'm wondering if it's because it has to do with these are your peers, your quote unquote equals to you in some capacity. But when you
Yeah.
apply that same logic to a kid who kills other kids, those peers are just as equal. And it's incredibly sad. And these are innocent children that should not be harmed. Not at all what I'm saying. But I'm curious as to why you can't apply the same logic of I can forgive an adult who's done it to another adult, but I can't forgive a kid who's done it to another kid.
I don't know that forgive is the right term here.
Okay.
Maybe offer a second chance.
So you can only have that if you're an adult? Why?
Uh, That's not what I'm saying. that's
Okay.
isolating the context. If an adult harms a child, to me, I will not forgive that.
Okay.
You mean doing physical and emotional harm?
Harm to a child, yes.
Yeah.
But you can forgive an adult who
Again, not
harms another
forgiveness.
adult. You just
No.
said forgiveness.
He's
You don't get
made
any
it
second
specific.
chances. You're right. I did say forgiveness. Allow me to revise. If you are an adult who harms a child, you don't get any second chances from me. You're done.
Totally agree. I totally agree. I'm not trying to
That
bait
sex
you
offender,
here.
predator.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure
Dating.
out. So if you're a kid, you don't get if you're a kid who harms other kids, you don't get a second chance either way.
That's not what he said at all.
Again, not what I'm saying.
But that is what I'm asking.
But what I'm saying is, I don't know how you can screw up a kid that much and expect them to be able to recover and exist within society. Like, I have sympathy for the child because of the circumstances that he grew up in, but if he's broken so bad to this point, he can't rejoin.
This feels like an old dog, new tricks kind of thing. Like, if there is an opportunity for somebody to learn and recognize that what they did was wrong and make strides to improving themselves and bettering themselves and recognizing and taking accountability for their actions, I think that there's more room for a kid to learn those new tricks, even a really screwed up one like
I
this.
can't trust them personally.
Okay. I'm going to pull this out of left field, but you've got the Menendez brothers, who supposedly, according to what they're saying, shot and killed their parents because of the abuse that their father had instigated on them and that their mother allowed to happen. They've been in prison for 20 years, and there has been, a wave of support, even from their own family, to allow them out because they feel like they could function. I mean, maybe in 20 years from now, maybe we might feel that way for this kid, but I don't think that changes how I feel about the things that his parents did to him in the process of this.
I'm not trying to bait anybody or give you a hard time. I'm very analytical. I like things that go in boxes. I like to be able to see one to the next, to the next, to the next. And so I'm just trying to kind of follow through on some of that
I don't think this
logic.
really works like that, unfortunately. And that's coming from
I
me.
don't think I don't think this goes into boxes. I don't think it fits well. I mean, turn around and look at the 6-year-old.
Okay.
So you have a 6-year-old who has been a disciplinary problem, so much so that he's not supposed to come to school alone. He comes in and brings a gun to school, shows it to someone on the playground, and threatens to kill them if they say. And there's a whole story behind that of how many people it was reported to. And Cole, you made a comment. How do you not take a 6-year-old kid's backpack away from him and say, no, we're going to check this out. We're going to do something about this. How do you not restrain a 6-year-old? How does a 6-year-old get a 9mm in their pocket and nobody notices?
They did notice. That's the thing. They did notice and nobody did anything.
And he's too young to even be criminally charged. I keep thinking, what happens to that kid? So, and this is pure conjecture on my part. He was 6 years old at the time. We read a report last night that said he'd been in a healthcare facility since then. So do they release him at 18 because he's not a minor anymore?
Because he didn't kill anybody.
Tried.
I don't disagree.
I mean, shot his teacher at point blank range. But again, and he had access. So that's an issue for us. I grew up around guns. Y'all grew up around guns. That access was very, very, very limited.
Not only that, but it was instilled into us.
The respect of the power of those tools,
Yes.
weapons.
You don't
I'm
do
glad
this
y'all brought
thing
that up.
without
Because I
me.
think that's a big piece of this.
These are not toys.
No.
You don't use this tool without me. You respect what it is capable of, because anything you point it at, you can destroy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you need to be prepared to destroy anything and everything
Before
that
you ever
at.
even think about pointing it at it.
Loaded, unloaded, doesn't matter.
Period.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I knew not to mess with those. Yeah. I mean, and my dad took me out when I was young. I had a rifle when I was young. And we went to the shooting range and we shot. But that was always instilled in me about how important safety was on this, and that this was nothing that I could do on my own, that I could never have access to this alone. So, I mean, it's just,
And not out of fear, out of
no,
respect.
there was probably a little bit of fear in mine.
I had some fear because of the
And
respect.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, because of the respect. This is something that you do not mess around with.
But you didn't find one laying around on the dresser, or we sure as hell did not give you an AR-15 of any kind. I mean, that would never have been allowed. I mean, even if we had given you a shotgun when you turned 16 for hunting, that would not have stayed in your room.
Of course not.
You would not have had access to ammo. You wouldn't have had access to that gun.
Of course not. Because you're sane people.
I think because you're responsible people.
I think it's...
This is an
and here's the other
anecdote,
side of it.
but I used to install security systems in people's homes, and it absolutely boggled my mind how many people leave firearms unattended all around their house. I mean, sitting out in
That's
open
just
view.
crazy. That's
Absolutely boggles my mind.
That is an invitation
For
something
disaster.
bad to happen. Yeah. And I just think that's part of this. I don't know why we're not thinking ahead and thinking, I want this to be as safe as possible. Or, I'm worried about my son's mental health right now. So, man, we got to get all of this that he can do danger to himself out of his reach. We've got to do something to help him. And I get it. There's a ton of people out there who do not believe in therapy. But if my kid comes to me and is talking about committing murder or suicide, I'm going to be screaming for somebody to come help me. Whether that's a police officer or the school, or I'm
Do
going
you
to be...
think this kid was going and telling his dad his plans? His dad who allegedly beat him?
No, because one of the articles that I even read talked about that there was a point where he had looked up how to kill his dad. So
Yeah.
no, I don't think so.
So,
I mean, but then also, then do we do something like you have to have a license to have children? How do
that
we...
was the point
how do we
I
weed
was
out the
worried to
people?
bring up, but I don't know how else to do it.
I don't know. I mean,
How do
lots
you
of people
enforce
have
something like
licenses who
that?
can't drive. So
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
if giving them a license for parenthood is going to help anything at all.
And even
And
if
we
you
can't
do,
take
again, how do you enforce it?
Yeah.
Do you take the kids?
And what do you do with them if you do?
Exactly.
I mean, how big would the foster system be if we took all of the children away from irresponsible parents?
Untenable.
Vasectomy is for everybody. We're so quick to jump on women and controlling their bodies.
I'm down.
I mean, we're already complaining about the birth rate being so low, and I understand part of the repercussions of that, but you can't take everybody's personal rights away. But at the same time, it's a travesty to let a
you have to
kid be
hold them
raised like
accountable then.
this.
You have to instill
And
that fear and respect in all of the other parents to say, hey, if you screw up this bad,
These are the
your life is
repercussions.
over.
but that's after the shooting.
But how do you prevent it if you're not going to take their kids away or if you're not going to neuter them? You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Do you guys think that gun owners specifically should face special responsibilities when minors live in the house?
Yes, you inherently do.
And how do you police that?
It's kind of the honor system until something bad happens, unfortunately. How do you stop someone from speeding before they go over the speed limit?
Let's say you've got a problem child of whatever kind of mind. How many warning signs should it take? How many things have to be triggered before, no pun intended, but how many things have to be triggered before the parent is held legally liable?
I
I
don't
think
think
it
that
depends on the.
you can make it black and white like this. I think it's going to be different in every specific circumstance. Because here's the
And
thing.
that
If dad goes and puts all of his guns in a safe, and while he's gone on a hunting trip one weekend, I take a cutting torch and go cut through it, open it, and use those guns against and do harm to someone, is that his fault?
I hear you.
You have
I
to
just
address
don't know
every
how.
situation individually. You can't just blanket everything and say every parent is responsible for every action that their child takes. I mean, they are, in my opinion.
I just don't know how
until
you
when?
enforce that. Yeah, until when?
Again, you have to treat every situation individually. You can't
I
give
mean,
someone a
if you do
speeding ticket
something
if they
bad,
think about going over the speed limit.
if you do something bad today, am I responsible? You're a grown man.
You're going to hold yourself responsible.
Well, yeah, but that could be mother guilt.
Is that wrong?
Sometimes it's more self-induced Boo, than it
I,
warrants. But
I
I mean,
understand that. But if I go postal and go on a spree and start shooting people, you're going to think, what did I do wrong? And you're going to hold yourself responsible for that. And I think
yes,
you should.
I say, which is a morally relevant conversation to have within yourself.
I started to say, but then am I criminally responsible for that at this
That's a
point in
little bit
time?
different because now I'm an adult. I'm making my own decisions. Now, if you had enabled me, if you'd given me the gun, that's a
Yeah.
little bit different. But I'm a grown man. If I
Yeah.
go out and buy my own and then start hurting people, that's no longer your legal responsibility.
Yeah.
But morally, you would still hold yourself responsible for that.
Do you think that there's anything that could realistically prevent things like this from happening? Situations like this? Because you're always going to have shitty
Vasectomies for
parents.
everybody. I mean, I'm not even kidding. It would. It would reduce them drastically.
Let's make
'Cause
JD Vance the face of that.
Good
That
luck.
I'm for.
Now we're getting techie. I mean, the answer is not vasectomies for everybody. It just isn't. That's the end of mankind. But
No, it's not. You can get a license to have children. Vasectomies are reversible.
sometimes.
They're a lot more reversible than the hysterectomy.
But you know what? You know what? That's punishing everybody. And
That's like saying putting a
don't-
speed limit is punishing everyone. No, it's not. It's
punishing-
regulating.
Yeah, you're regulating it the same way now, and people are punished every single day. When you go into an elementary school or a middle school or a high school and start killing off people's kids, they're still getting punished. They have to deal with the fallout. They have to live without all of their children now. They have to teach their kids, even if they are not the parents who lost ones, what a lockdown drill means and what to do in them and how to be better human beings. And you guys, what was it, 2001 when Columbine took place, which is one of the first major school shootings? It's been 25 years. We're not doing a better job. It's not getting better.
Why are we not doing a better job? Are we just ignoring it?
We're not addressing the issue. And this is a
Because we don't
completely unrelated
value.
tangent, like one that we've talked about in pretty much every episode that we've ever covered. We don't value each other as Americans.
No, we don't value human life.
As individuals, maybe, but as a society, we don't.
No. Yeah.
We don't
right.
have systems in place to help with mental health. We have probably one of, if not the worst diet in human history.
Oh,
We're
God.
well under exercised, myself included. We don't do anything to take care of ourselves. And then we wonder why we have a mental health problem.
Some people do, but the
I'm
majority do
speaking
not.
generally as a society.
Yeah.
But
And
more
you know
than
what?
that, I never, ever one time thought about taking a gun to school. Ever once. Never once. But I would tell you that a shit ton of the kids who have been killed, they didn't either. Like,
I mean, there was a point in time when it was very common, particularly in small town, rural, I'm going to say Texas, but I think it extended beyond that, probably the South, that it wasn't uncommon to see a guy drive his truck to school and have his shotgun in the back hanging up.
but you've got this small select few of really bad apples that are ruining it for the rest of us.
Mm.
I mean, but that's how history has always been.
And so is there just no hope for us?
It's not that there's no hope. It's that is just a factor of life. You have to learn how to deal with those. You cannot expect there to not be problems. But you need to come up with a way to try and address and minimize those problems.
You know, and here's the thing, here's the sad part, Cole, and that is people did try to address this. I mean, his grandmother, his aunt, there were people who went, there were school systems. It was repeatedly reported.
I
And we
understand.
failed it.
And the people whose responsibility it is to make sure this didn't happen failed, and they are now being held accountable. What else can you do?
But it was a
Lock
lot of,
everybody in a padded room?
I mean, sometimes that sounds kind of good. But I mean, it was a lot of people who failed here. There wasn't anything, and maybe it was because it was a minor, there wasn't anything that crossed across all of those to say, this isn't the first time. This has happened before. I mean, if you have a sheriff's department in that county and a sheriff's department in that county and a police officer in that
And
town,
the FBI, allegedly.
and which doesn't make any sense whatsoever that there wasn't a record there, that all of those precincts could have accessed that.
But again,
It
you
doesn't
can't
make
arrest
sense.
someone for committing a crime that they haven't committed.
No, you can't arrest them for a crime they didn't commit, but you can, I mean, you can flag that person to say, hey, this is the third time somebody's reported that this kid is having
And do
problems.
what? Send another warning?
Get him some help.
Who's going to get him help?
I don't know.
His mom or his dad. His mother was obviously incapable, and his father has been charged with second-degree murder. We're holding him
y'all,
accountable.
CPS was called a couple of times on this. Maybe that would have helped if something had really happened there. And I know we default to the parent, and I guess I want us to in the first look of things. But we failed this kid.
We did not fail this kid. His parents failed him.
As a
Do you
society,
think the state can do a better job?
No, I
I
don't.
mean, look at the state of prisons. Those mass vasectomies are looking better and better.
So if you go over to the father who shot
Arkansas.
the man out on bond bail, and again, people kind of are responding to him like he's a hero.
I'd have done the same thing.
I'd have done the same thing. And I mean, and the thing is, if somebody came to hurt one of y'all, especially when y'all were at that age, I'd have gone mama bear. I'm not saying I would kill and shoot people, but
We did. We did when somebody came after me. We did. And
I don't lose a wink of sleep over it either.
I have not a single regret about it at all. when somebody came to my house repeatedly, over and over and over again, threatening me. We did. And I don't even kind of feel bad. I'm with Cole. I don't lose a wink of sleep over that. I think that, and I wasn't a child. I was 23, 25. The instinct to protect the people that you love is one of the strongest pulls in the universe.
For some people. But if you look back at his parents,
You're back to Georgia.
they didn't have they didn't have an idea of protecting this kid.
No, I don't think that
And
was
I don't know
ever on
where
the
you
docket.
develop that. I
We
don't know
have
where it goes wrong.
We have a draw to get him off of video games. So it did exist. We didn't think video games were good for him. We wanted to get him out of that mindset and that mentality.
So we buy him a gun.
So we bought him a gun.
What happened to basketballs?
For real.
Yeah.
So, but let's go back. Let's go back to Arkansas with this dad who is attempting to protect his daughter. This man has all of these charges against him, all of these restraining orders. I mean, he's from a registered sex offender, anything and everything that could go wrong. He's a bad dude.
I did not read that he was a registered sex offender.
I did in several places.
Okay.
And had been for several years. This isn't a new thing. He just really took a shine to this girl.
You know, there are records of him doing this with multiple different girls the same way.
Yeah.
And young women.
Yeah. So I have a question here that says, is revenge ever justified? And Cole, I think you answered that earlier. Sometimes it is. But I think the bigger statement for me is I don't look at this as revenge.
I don't know. I think it's really hard.
I think it is really hard.
There's a good chance it could have been.
I think
it may have been exacerbated by wanting to have revenge. But I think in the moment, if somebody had what appears to be kidnapped my child, had a history, was not supposed to be with my child in any form or fashion, the revenge might have been in the back of my mind, but protect her would have been in the forefront of my mind.
Yeah. I mean,
when you take a gun training class, the biggest takeaway is your goal, your job in using this firearm is not to kill someone. Your whole purpose is to stop the threat. If somebody dies in that process, that's a totally different scenario.
Yeah.
But to go into it with the whole mentality of stopping the threat, that is the purpose of owning a firearm. Like, hard stop. And so I have a really hard time trying to get behind, well, you should have shot him in the leg.
Listen.
He shouldn't have been there in the first place.
You don't dump 16 rounds in the leg. Not how that works. There is quite obviously a significant amount of emotion in this instance. Of course there is. It's a father and his daughter.
So should that emotional context affect the legal consequences?
That's a harder question for me. Because I think it really depends on the circumstance. I think there are some issues with him not having called the police until after the fact.
So here's my kind of counter argument for that. I don't disagree. I think that that's really freaking weird. But
not all that shocking, because I don't know that I would handle it any different.
Which is my point. And oh God, getting into this again, I am very much a firm believer of you have no idea what it is that you're going to do in a situation until you are in that situation. You don't know. You may think you're going to do something. You may feel one way, or you may prepare and plan and practice doing one thing. But until you are the one who's in that situation and it is life or death, you have no fucking clue what it is that you're about to do.
Every plan seems like a good plan until you get punched in the mouth.
But beyond that, so I also give him a little bit of grace. Again, not a judge, not on the jury, but I give him a little bit of grace in that he has tried so hard to let the system take care of this, has reported it, has been to all of these court hearings, has filed all of these restraining orders. He's tried to let the justice system work. And it has failed him and his daughter. How many times do you keep saying, well, let's try again? I mean, what was it? How many, again, I want to say it was 42 or 43 individual charges against this 67-year-old sex offender in relation to this girl alone. Well, if he'd have done it 45 times, okay, then it would have taken. Then it would have worked. Everything would have worked out if he had done it 45 times.
Yeah.
Or 63
and this is something
times.
that we talked about last night, Gig, and where there's some question around the actual legal case that's going on right now.
A lot of questions around it.
If I remember right, it was a $50,000 bond. Generally, a bail bondsman is going to make you put up 10%.
Right. So $5,000.
So he
you
paid
can be on your free and clear.
$5,000 to be free again. In my opinion, if crimes against a child are alleged against you, you'll get bond because something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Or there's a good chance something could be wrong with you.
I totally agree. And until that's proven in a court of law, we're not taking that chance. Yep.
Tough.
Sorry.
If you're innocent, sorry, my bad, we'll let you go.
Here's my question. I don't know. I've never paid bail. I've never been arrested. I have no idea how all of this works.
Sucks.
Where does that bail go? What does that go to? If you pay your $5,000 for your 10% of your $50,000 bail, what happens to that $5,000? Does it go to the bail bondsman?
Yeah. Here's how it works. The municipality says you have to put up this certain amount of collateral as a guarantee that you're going to show up.
For us to prosecute you and
to go to
whole
court.
9 yards.
You're going to show up for court for whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
The bail bondsman says, we'll put up that bond with the working assumption that when you show up for court, they're going to get it back. They make that profit by charging you 10% of the amount. So they get a little bit of collateral against what they're putting up. And if you don't show up for court, they send a bounty hunter after you to turn you in so they get their $50,000 back and they keep your $5,000.
Where does that $50,000 go? Sure, don't disagree. But where does that $50,000 that the bail bondsman puts up in your name?
It is held in bond by the municipality.
For what purpose?
Collateral. To say you better show up. It's hostage, if you will.
This is our agreement that you're coming back and then we'll give it back.
Yes.
So I, again, obviously don't know a ton about how bail and bonds work. So I'll be totally straightforward and honest with that. But under what circumstances is $50,000, $55,000 sufficient for a man who has 43 counts of whatever against him in relation to this one girl? That's sufficient? Like, okay, yeah, we'll put that money up there.
That's certainly been a question, and it even has gone to there's a question on, did the judge act appropriately with this?
Well, because there seems to be a lot of moving parts about who actually signed the bond form that let him be released. Anyways,
and there's nothing that I read. Did y'all read anything about this that gave you any indication about why the judge wouldn't be harsh on this? Why? I mean, was there a relationship that we're unaware of? I mean, the Supreme Court has recused the judge at this point.
Because the Supreme Court has stepped in twice now in this particular case against the judge.
Yes.
I did not see anything that very clearly defined that there was a relationship between the judge and this guy, but there are lots of nods in that direction. And I'm not saying they were boyfriend and girlfriend or anything like that, but there's some kind of connection between the two of them that this was not handled the way that it would have been had there not been a connection.
And it may not be a connection between the two of them. Maybe this is just a bad judge with bad judgment. But
That's
again,
what I'm leaning towards, because what
yeah,
it certainly seems like, the reason she was recused by the Arkansas Supreme Court, the defense asked her to recuse herself. One, because there is speculation that she is the judge responsible for letting him be released, which was most likely a mistake. The second thing that points towards that is that she submitted, beyond even the ask of the prosecution, the state, to basically say, okay, only a certain amount of people can be here. There's going to be limited room, and there's no public allowed, and there's no recording of this particular case. Likely because things are going to come to fact that would say maybe she was responsible for this man being let out when he probably shouldn't have been, is my guess. If I was a betting man, I might put $1 on that space. I haven't seen anything that suggests that there was any sort of interpersonal relationship between the judge and the deceased 67-year-old man. Regardless, I think that's all kind of besides the point here. Do you hold the man responsible? Is it murder? Is it vigilante justice? Or is it defense of his daughter?
but again, if the judicial system failed to hold a man with that kind of charges against him, then
If a wanted rapist and murderer breaks out of prison and I shoot him instead of calling the police, I go to prison for murder.
most likely,
Unless he attacks you and then you shoot him.
Correct.
and you can prove it.
Yes. And it's going to cost you a pretty penny either way.
I believe technically the state would have to prove that he didn't attack me, but
Yeah, that's probably
that would
true.
be the burden of proof if my understanding of the law is correct.
Yeah.
But the long and the short of it is the 67-year-old man had access that he may or may not should have had. And the dad kept trying to say, guys, we have to take this access away. He still has access. Again, how many times does it take before the system works? How many times are you supposed to let your kid get
Harmed.
assaulted?
0.
But that's not what the law has asked of him.
Not according to what he claims. He claims that he was fully within the law with the actions that he took.
I mean, he doesn't deny shooting the man.
No, and never has.
His attorneys do not deny that he shot them. They do say that it was in self-defense.
He immediately called the police.
And
afterwards.
It was to protect his daughter. Again, I think we kind of have an apples and oranges here where we're talking about children who've committed crimes and are their parents responsible versus parents who
Well, I mean, I think
took
we're
action.
juxtaposing two across each other. We're holding a man responsible for trying to be a good parent and potentially having consequences for him being a good parent, or at least trying to be, as well as showing the consequences of being a bad parent. So, figure it out. Which one is it?
Yeah.
This is a direct paradox of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Do something about it, you're in the wrong. Don't do something about it, you're still in the wrong. How as a parent do you win? How as a parent do you do the right thing? What even is the right thing?
And how far does that go?
Yeah.
I mean, Cole, like you said, my kid gets in a car and kills somebody while they're driving their car because they're 16 years old and they don't have a lot of experience. Am I responsible for that? Our society has said that they can have a license at that age, but maybe my kid was too young to get a license at that age. Maybe he didn't have the skills to do that. Am I responsible?
Well, we gave him one.
But we gave him one.
But did the parent give him the license or did the state?
The state did. But the parent would have had to sign off on it.
It doesn't matter. The parent is
I mean,
not
but
the regulator of the road. They can say, hey, I don't think you should be driving.
The question still is, how far is the parent responsible?
Again, I think it depends on every circumstance individually. I don't think that there is a hard and fast line that you can draw here.
Yeah.
I just don't think there is.
Okay, I'm just saying I need you two to behave. Don't look good in orange.
In a while.
Yeah, you've been pretty good, kid. Both of you. I'll keep you.
recently.
But at the same time, we're also not willing to back down if somebody comes at us. And I'm not willing to give that up.
And here's the deal. I'd step in front of you first.
I know. Because you're not a shitty parent. All of those things that you just said are because you're not a shitty parent. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful.
We got to do something to protect these kids a little bit more. And I don't know
A
what
lot
it
a bit
is.
more. They
I don't
deserve
know.
more than a little bit more.
I don't know if it's the internet. I don't know where it's
The internet
coming
is
from.
just like a gun. It is a tool, and an extremely powerful one, and if used correctly and responsibly can be extremely beneficial. If used poorly and unresponsibly can be extremely dangerous and harmful, just like any other tool. I can kill a man with a hammer.
I was at a store yesterday waiting on Callie to get out of the dressing room. And there was a woman with this beautiful baby boy in his stroller. And she had handed him her phone. And I'm assuming had something playing on it. And she tried to keep his hands off of it. You know, she moved his hands and she would, no. And, but at the same time, she was using her phone to entertain her son. And I don't think he was 2 years old, which is probably where I first went, don't give him that
Is there
phone.
really a difference between that and a toy? If it's just a distraction?
Yes,
How?
because it's affecting their mind more. And
What
he
makes you say
literally,
that? What if
he
it's just
took
a
that,
static image on the phone? He can't interact with it. He can't do anything. It's just a
but it
picture of a
wasn't.
toy.
But it wasn't.
What's your point here? Where are you going with this?
That I think we're giving our kids access too soon. We're not interacting with our children. We're stepping back from that interaction. And we're not interacting with our children. We're relying on something else to distract or entertain them.
I had toys and a dog when I was growing up. You could not interact with me constantly around the clock because you are an adult with your own responsibilities. I understand what you're saying. And yeah, I sure hope that beautiful baby little boy wasn't surfing Facebook, because that would be really unbeneficial. But if he's watching bubbles grow across a screen, I don't really see the difference between that and having a bubble gun.
And I would agree with you on that.
I've got friends who, when their son was really little, the YouTube videos that they watched, his favorite thing to do on any kind of device was watching trains. And so some guy went out and set up a camera at train crossings and train intersections and would just record the trains. That was all it was. That's all I wanted. Just trains. They're some of the very best parents that I know. I don't think it's the phone's fault. I don't think it's the gun's fault. I don't think it's the car's fault. I think it's the people's fault. And I think that the people are responsible for their own actions. And going back to the Other Side Academy, I think that we should all be much closer to 200% accountable. I am responsible for me, and I am responsible for you.
I'll agree with you on that. Totally.
I need a weird
Okay.
thought.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was listening to the Smart Girl Dumb Questions podcast, which I'm very much loving, and I will link this episode in the show notes. But they had a linguistics nerd, Adam Alisic, I think is his name, and he was talking about idiolect, which he broke it down into kind of the original meaning and use of the word. Idio means of oneself, and lect is the words in which you use. So it's the idea that every single person has their own unique version of language, and how families do too. You have a familect. I could be saying that wrong. I don't remember. But how the four of us, you, me, Cole, Dad, how we talk differently than the next family, and we may use words or change our cadence because of our direct relation from each other, which I thought was so interesting. How you could use, as a family, might use different words or phrases that are more common in your familial
The dirty
What you
booty.
got? Oh, yeah.
Definitely part of our family elect.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
But it got me thinking, you guys, you can't throw out the dirty booty with no context, but I
Of
guess
course
that's
we
what we're
can.
doing.
Of course we can. Why not?
This is going on the internet, Cole. That's why.
It's not an inside joke if you let it out.
Oh, gross.
But I mean, I can think
Okay.
of a whole bunch. Nuance. I'll take it. I mean,
Clean this mess up, Jim.
clean. Yeah.
So it got me thinking. Every single word in every language started out as complete nonsense. At some point, one person made this sound and somehow managed to convince enough people around them that that particular sound meant
That particular
something.
grunt.
Yes, exactly. So it basically means that language is just gibberish that somehow won a popularity contest, right? Like, I'm going to convince you that this color is purple. It's always purple. It's purple every time. And yes, it rhymes with nurple, but that's what it is. And we're going with it. And it's just the weirdest thing to me. So I was wondering how many words we use every day only exist because some random person in history could have been last month, last year, a la skibbity toilet or situationship, or centuries ago with idiolect, that somebody said something ridiculous and everybody else just got on board and said, okay, yeah, let's go with that.
I can see some of our funniest sayings coming along from something along that line.
Yes, the
Yep.
dirty booty.
All of them. Literally every single one.
Every single one of them. But I just think it's so fascinating to sit here because I often wonder, I'm like, where did that start? Well, here's the breakdown of the original. I don't care about that. Somebody had to decide this is what it is and we're going to convince everybody else. I think it's the weirdest thing.
Such a progression if you're looking at it from a historical perspective to now, how one word could have transpired all the way through.
It's
And
even
change.
more fascinating to think about. Like, if you compare the dialect of English and how we structure our sentences and purvey thoughts, and how drastically different it is from something like Mandarin Chinese. We think, particularly those people who think in, some people think in pictures, some people think in words. We think completely differently than someone who speaks a different dialect. And it's fascinating.
Oh, yeah. I just think that language in and of itself, linguistics, is so wild. And once you start kind of digging
Meaningful
into
grunts.
it, yeah.
God, what a podcast name, Meaningful Grunts.
We'll put it on the list.
That's going to be me and the boys.
Oh, God. Now he's just going to start grunting, Mom. What are we going to do?
I know.
Okay, have you got us a good news story?
I do. I have kind of a fun one. There's a group of fifth graders in Monroe counties. It's their only STEM certified school at Samuel E. Hubbard Elementary School. And they've been selected and they are using AI to build prosthetics. So it's really a fun story where a company called Enable, it's a global organization, provides the blueprint for the prosthetic. And the kids are responsible for going in and printing it and then building it together. The printing costs about $50 a pop. But then Enable has a group of people who can't afford prosthetics who have asked for one. And so these volunteer kids,
Fifth graders,
are building one for a kid in Alabama. And so they're all excited because they say, he's going to be able to feel what he hasn't ever been able to feel.
and do stuff just like us.
He has a deformity on one arm, and so this will replace that area so that he can pick things up and touch things and do things. And they're fifth graders, and they're so excited. And one of the girls said, I just think people don't realize that kids can do things too. And I'm thrilled with a teacher and instructor who found this program and introduced his kids to this, and they'll do one semester, and then next semester, a new group of kids will come in and build a new one. And so it was just, I mean, it's really fun to think about kids doing something like
Good.
this that's helpful.
Well, and the impact that it's had. So this isn't just regular everyday kids. Some of these kids have had behavioral problems or frustrations with getting along with other kids and stuff like that. And they've come in and they've allowed them into this program, and it has shifted and changed their mindset. So now they're focused on doing good for somebody else beyond themselves. And they're not focused on going and being annoying, going and being a nuisance somewhere else.
You catch
I had
more
to,
flies with honey.
For
yeah.
real. I mean, it has given this opportunity to them.
I had to look this up because they talked about it being a STEM certified school, and I'd never heard of that. I mean, I know what STEM stands for, but I'd never heard of a school being certified. And so I think that adds another element here, is that this is a public school who has taken this a huge step forward to do a program that's really away from siloed subjects and using science, technology, and engineering and math to teach and help. I mean, what this promotes to these kids in the course of doing something fun. I mean, they're printing an arm. I think it's
This is
amazing.
also this school that you're talking about, Samuel E. Hubbard Elementary School, is also in Georgia. There's good things coming out of everywhere. We just got to find them.
We got to find them. So,
I love it.
fun story.
Love you guys.
Love you
Yeah.
guys.